In today's episode of Inside the Mind, we're exploring something that silently shapes the way you see yourself: regret. This episode isn't about fixing the past, it's about making peace with it. As always, subtitles are included so you can take your time, pause when something hits, and return to the words whenever you need them. Have you ever replayed a moment so many times in your head that it begins to feel like a punishment? That one decision, that one sentence, that one choice you should have made differently, and no matter how much time passes, you can't stop wondering what might have happened. If only you had done it better. If you always regret your actions, this is for you. Regret is tricky. It wears many masks. Sometimes it sounds like guilt. Other times it pretends to be responsibility, or wisdom, or growth. But deep down, regret often isn't about what happened. It's about who you believe you are because of what happened. It whispers things like, "You always ruin things. You should have known better. You're not the kind of person who gets it right." And over time, it becomes less about a single moment and more about your entire identity. You freeze before making decisions because you're scared you'll regret them. You say yes when you want to say no just to avoid the guilt that might come later. You overthink every word, every text, every conversation because the replay loop has trained you to scan for future regret. You apologize even when no one's hurt. You rewrite your past like a script you're desperate to perfect, as if regret is a sign you failed some invisible test. And worst of all, you stop trusting yourself. You start believing that your instincts are broken, that you're not good at living, that every choice you make will eventually circle back and bite. But here's something you may have never been told. You don't regret everything because you're reckless. You regret everything because you care, too much sometimes, about doing the right thing. You were probably raised, directly or indirectly, to be hyper-aware of consequences, to be pleasing, to avoid conflict, to be the one who smooths the edges, keeps the peace, and feels responsible when things go wrong. You learned early on that making mistakes meant disappointment, or rejection, or loss. So now, as an adult, you carry the weight of that old lesson. I have to get it right, or I'll be punished by others or by myself. And regret became the punishment, the constant revisiting, the inner courtroom that never closes. But what if regret isn't the evidence of your failure, but the echo of your empathy? What if you're not bad at making choices? You're just not used to forgiving yourself after them. What if you're not indecisive? You're just scared that any pain will mean it was all a mistake. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. There is no perfect choice, no version of reality where everything plays out exactly as you imagined. Life is not a movie with clean edits. It's messy, complicated, unpredictable, and you are human, which means you will sometimes say the wrong thing. You will sometimes act from fear. You will sometimes miss a moment or take a path that later feels unclear. But none of that means you are broken. None of that makes you unworthy of peace. You are allowed to look back and feel sorrow without self-condemnation. You are allowed to grieve a version of yourself that didn't know better and still offer them grace. You are allowed to say, "I wish I had done that differently," without adding, "so I must be awful." Because growth doesn't mean never making mistakes. It means learning how to love the version of you who did. Think of your past self like a child learning to walk. You wouldn't shame a toddler for falling. You wouldn't say, "You should have known better." You wouldn't call them a failure. You'd say, "Of course you fell." That's how we learn to stand. But when it comes to you, the adult version, you forget you're still learning too. You still deserve that same gentleness, that same patience, because the path to wisdom is paved with missteps. You are not the only one who regrets things. You're not the only one who replays moments at 2 a.m. You're not the only one who wonders if you've ruined everything. We all carry pieces of the past that ache. But regret doesn't have to mean you're bad. It can mean you're growing. It can mean your values are shifting. It can mean your awareness is expanding. Pain can be a teacher, see, but not if you let it become a prison. So next time regret creeps in, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what was I trying to protect? What did I not know then that I know now? What would I say to a friend who made the same mistake? Speak those words to yourself, not because it erases the past, but because it softens the future. The version of you who made that choice they were trying, with the tools they had, in the state they were in, with the fears they carried. And that version of you deserves compassion, not punishment, not judgment, not endless rewinds, just understanding. Because healing doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means changing the story you tell about it. And the story doesn't have to be, I always mess up. It can be, I didn't know better, but now I do. It can be, that moment hurt, but it helped me grow. It can be, I'm not defined by one decision. I'm defined by what I choose now. So if you always regret your actions, maybe it's time to stop asking if you were wrong and start asking, can I forgive who I was? You don't need to erase the past. You just need to stop using it as evidence against yourself. You're learning, you're healing, you're evolving. And every time you choose compassion over criticism, you create a future that regret can't follow you into. Take care of that future. Be kind to the version of you who's still unfolding. You don't have to carry it all alone. And if this spoke to something in you, something raw or familiar or long hidden, share it with someone else who needs to hear it too, because we're all just learning how to be human. One imperfect choice at a time.